Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here, and today we'll be diving into the Ultimate Werewolf Pro that is an expansion to Bezier Games' Ultimate Werewolf series of games. It contains over 50 new carefully balanced rules, a new player item, and new pro rules that will enhance games specifically for experienced players and moderators. I'll be showing you how you can incorporate these roles and rules into your games and then discuss some of the rules in detail. I'll also show you how you can use these while moderating with the notepad or by using the Ultimate Werewolf Moderator app. Now I've placed timestamps below me in the description of this video just in case you want to jump to a specific section of the rules. Without further ado, here we go. Ultimate Werewolf Pro is an expansion, so you'll need one of the base games of Ultimate Werewolf in order to play it, like Ultimate Werewolf Extreme or Ultimate Werewolf. Now, if you're using Ultimate Werewolf as the base game, it needs to be one of the newer editions, and to see if it's compatible with this, you look at the backs of the cards, and if it has the QR code in the bottom right of the cards, then your version of Ultimate Werewolf is compatible with this Ultimate Werewolf Pro expansion. I'm going to talk about the roles and how to incorporate them and balance them towards the end of this video, but first let's talk about the new rules in Ultimate Werewolf Pro. All of these new rules are optional and they're up to the moderator's discretion as to which ones to use. Let's talk about the mystery Lycan. Now, there was a Lycan role previously, like in Ultimate Werewolf Extreme, for example, and what this role did was you're on the village team, but you appear to the seer as a wolf. So if the seer pointed at this, the moderator would have given the W sign as normal, so the seer would think that this player is a wolf even though they're on the villager team. That's how the original Lycan rule worked. However, with the mystery Lycan rule, on the first night, right when the wolves wake up, they're going to choose a player. Let's say they choose this one. This player is now what's called the mystery Lycan. So in all reality, this player, who knows what role they are, right? But it doesn't matter, because when the werewolves secretly say this is the mystery Lycan, the moderator will mark that down on their moderator sheet, and they'll know that if the seer asks about this player, they're going to look like a wolf to the seer regardless of which role this is. Now there are some exceptions to this. For example, if the werewolf secretly chose the player that had this role as the mystery Lycan, if it has a brown fence post, it's an independent role, like a Master Tanner, for example. Any independent role, if that one is selected as the mystery Lycan, then the moderator has to take note, because if the seer chooses this player, or any player that has an independent role that was chosen by the werewolves as a mystery Lycan, they do not appear as a werewolf to the seer. Also, if a player has a role that steals a role from another player, like the robber for example, during the first night they steal a card from another player and you become their role. If they end up stealing the role from the player that was the mystery Lycan, they don't become the mystery Lycan. They're just the role that that other player was. Next, roles that target wolves also target Lycans. For instance, this Chupacabra must eliminate all the wolves and the Lycans before they can move on to the villagers. And roles that detect or expose a specific role, such as the Illuminati here, they ignore the fact that a player has been chosen to be a Lycan. The next rule are Seer Restrictions. Now the Seer is a powerful role, so these restrictions are to prevent too much information if a Seer or a Seer type is used in the game. Now a Seer type is a village support role that can choose different players each night to learn about. Like for example, the Apprentice Seer, the Aura Seer, the Mystic Seer. Now with this Seer Restrictions rule, only one Seer type is active. So for example, let's say the Seer gets eliminated. Well, if they get eliminated, well, the Apprentice Seer will take over just based upon their role. But let's say the Apprentice Seer was eliminated, then the moderator is going to decide which of these two Seer types are the only active one until that one gets eliminated, and so on and so forth. Now some of the roles are protectors, and you can tell because they have a shield icon on the fence post, like this witch. Now a protected seer is an overpowered seer, so keep the number of protected roles at 1 or fewer if a seer type is in the game. You can also play with no night reveals, which means when a player is eliminated at night, you do not reveal this role the next morning so players don't know exactly who was eliminated. However, there are some exceptions, like the hunter, or any other role that results in some activity after they're eliminated. In that case, you would reveal that role because they have some things to do, like immediately eliminating another player. However, eliminations during the day are revealed to all, as it opens a lot of creative possibilities for deception, risk-taking, and strategic play. Another rule is revenge. Now, once per game, one of the wolves may just end the day and eliminate themselves, but they also get to pick another player to eliminate with them. To do this, during their trial, meaning people have nominated this person, they can basically raise their fist and call out revenge. Now, revenge cannot be called by a non-wolf player, nor by a wolf whose elimination causes additional eliminations anyway, like the wolf cub or assassin wolf. Also, a wolf cannot call revenge to guarantee a wolf victory, meaning if the wolf team's at parity, meaning there's as many wolves as they are all other players, normally they would win. But if you're using revenge to get this, that doesn't happen. They actually lose, so you can't do that to gain a werewolf win. This is generally used by a wolf who knows they're caught and wants to go out with a bang. The Gavel is an optional rule that you can play with games that have 9 or more players. On the first day, the players vote to elect a player as the judge. Now, players may nominate and second anyone, and once that happens, a vote takes place. However, unlike normal votes where you need half, in this case there's 10 players, you always need one more than normal. So normally you'd need half here, 5, but for the Gavel, you'd need 6. And if it passes, that player takes the gavel and they are the judge. And this is really powerful because when a player has been nominated and second for elimination, the judge is the only player who votes to determine if that player will be eliminated or not. Now, the judge can be removed at any time by the players electing a new judge by using the same process for electing the original judge. Or you can nominate and second no one to remove the judge and return to regular voting rules. There are over 50 rules in this set, and they provide special abilities that will keep you and your players on the edge of your seats. Though it's tempting, be careful not to add too many new roles at one time to your games, because most players can't track more than 2 or 3 new roles per game. If you add too many roles at once, and the players will end up spending more time talking about what the roles are and trying to remember how they work instead of playing the game. Many of these roles result in entirely different experiences when they are mixed in with other roles, so be sure to try each of them out with a variety of other roles to get a good idea of how all of them work. You can always tell that a card is a pro role card because they're differentiated by a black mark in the lower right hand corner of the card. On the back of the pro rules, it has a chart that has recommended role types versus player count. So it has the player count here. It tells you how many of each of the type of roles that you can use. Now, you want to make sure that you never go over the total info count for that specific player range. Now, for that info count, you are not using the numbers in the lower left hand of the cards. You're looking at the top of the fence posts. If it has no cap and no hash mark, it's 0. If it has 1 hash mark, like the Warlock there, it's +1. If it has just a cap, it's -1, and if it has a cap with a hash, it's -2. And you're trying to get that info mark to exactly match the amount of info for your player count. Now, if games are not typically ending on a close win, you can adjust the total info value, +1 if the wolf team tends to win, or -1 if the village team keeps winning. Now, many of the roles in Ultimate Werewolf Extreme can throw off the balance of a game, and you can know this by seeing some of them that have spider webs in the bottom left. Like this one does not have one, but you can see spider webs in those cards in the bottom left. For casual players, they're just fine, but for pros, you'll probably want to avoid some of them. If you see a spider web, the card might have some issues for pro players, and you should consider avoiding them. So let's look at some of the roles here in more detail. The Assassin, once per day you can look at one of your neighbors in the eye and eliminate them. Now, this does not cause the day to end, and your neighbor may change as the game goes on. For example, if you're sitting next to 2 players and this player here, this neighbor, was eliminated, then that means that the next neighbor to that side, this player here, is now your neighbor sitting in that direction, and that's one that you could eliminate on the next day. The Kamikaze Wolf wakes up with the other wolves each night and chooses a player to eliminate. But when it's the Seer's turn to wake up and point to a player, if the Seer points at the player that's this role, and if there's other werewolves in the game, both the Kamikaze Wolf and the Seer will be eliminated the next morning. Now, if you're not playing with the No Night Reveal optional rules here with Pro, then when the players are shown the Kamikaze Wolf card, they'll know the Seer was taken out, and there's a dramatic reveal to learn who the Seer was. Lots of drama. But also keep in mind, the Seer and Kamikaze Wolf are not eliminated if the Seer views the Kamikaze Wolf on the first night or if the Kamikaze Wolf is the last wolf in the game. Now the Reviler, each night they can target a player. Now if that player is a special villager, like the village support here, Tough Girl, then that player is eliminated. If not, meaning if they select a normal villager, or anybody that's not on the village team, then the Reviler is eliminated. So they better be pretty sure if they decide to do that, because it's optional. Now it doesn't technically matter when at night the moderator has the Reviler do this, but if they happen to pick the same person that the werewolves did, well, the Reviler will be the only one who knows that they used their power, foolishly as it turns out. For the last role we'll talk about, the Vanillacabra only wins if they're one of the last 3 players in the game. Now each night they will target, and you'll see this in some of the cards in Pro where it says W, then the number, and then in this case -1. This means the number of werewolves -1 that were there at the beginning of the night. So if there were 3 werewolves, this player would select 2 players to eliminate. Now they only end up eliminating players if they are a basic villager or a basic werewolf, meaning they have no special abilities. But let's say there was a player with special abilities left, and let's say they chose the villager and blighted. Well, the villager will get eliminated, but this player would not. However, when it's time for the Vanillacabra to possibly target players, if all of the roles left have special abilities, meaning there are no villagers and no plain werewolves left, then all the players that they select would be eliminated. That means the Vanillacabra may or may not know if the special roles are left, but depending on who they target, they may know the state of who is left before anyone else. Now the moderator does know and has to keep this in mind when determining if the target should be eliminated, which also means that the Vanillacabra is also one of the harder roles to moderate. Now speaking of roles and moderation, there is a free Ultimate Werewolf moderator app that you can download from your specific platform's app store. And from there in the settings in the upper left, you can select this Ultimate Werewolf Pro section, and it will have all of the roles that you can use and moderate, and it makes moderation easier. Now, if you want to learn more about this moderator app, there is a separate video that teaches you all how to use it and how to become a better moderator with it. And the link for that video is in the description below. Well, I hope this helped you dive right into the Ultimate Werewolf Pro. Now, if you have further questions about the rules or the app, I've placed the link below me in the description of this video, and that's the best place to ask them since I'll be notified, but so will Bezier Games.